How do defensive scheme changes impact IDP fantasy football production? Imagine a team switching from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3 setup overnight. That change can shake up how players perform in fantasy football leagues that focus on individual defensive players. In IDP leagues, where players earn points for tackles, sacks, interceptions, and forced fumbles, how a team lines up can make a big difference. Defensive schemes are like game plans that decide how a team lines up and plays. The most common are 3-4 and 4-3 formations. In a 3-4, 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers are on the field. In a 4-3, there are 4 linemen and 3 linebackers. These formations assign different roles to players. For example, outside linebackers in a 3-4 often rush the quarterback, while in a 4-3, defensive ends usually do that job. When a team changes schemes, players might switch positions or responsibilities. This can mean more or fewer opportunities to rack up tackles, sacks, or interceptions. If a team shifts from a 3-4 to a 4-3, outside linebackers might become defensive ends or be asked to play with their hand on the ground. That could reduce their sack totals because defensive ends tend to rush the passer more often. Conversely, linebackers in a 3-4 might get more chances for sacks and tackles because they have a dual role in stopping the run and rushing the quarterback. The new defensive coordinator's style also matters. Some coaches love blitzing, which can lead to more sacks and tackles for linebackers and defensive linemen. Others prefer zone coverage, which might boost interception numbers for defensive backs but cut down on tackle opportunities for linemen. Personnel fit is another key factor. When a scheme changes, teams often shuffle players or bring in new ones. A linebacker who is good at coverage might shine in a zone-heavy scheme, while a run stopper might lose snaps if the new scheme favors speed and coverage. These shifts directly impact fantasy points. If a scheme emphasizes pressuring the quarterback, edge rushers and defensive ends can see a spike in sack numbers. If the scheme focuses on funneling plays toward linebackers or safeties, those players will get more tackle chances. For fantasy managers, keeping an eye on these changes is vital. When a team announces a new scheme or hires a new defensive coordinator, it's smart to reassess the value of their defensive players. Players who fit the new style are more likely to produce better stats. Monitoring coaching changes helps because new coordinators often bring different philosophies that can boost or hurt certain players. Remember, players moving from one scheme to another might need some time to adjust, so early season stats could fluctuate. Knowing the difference between 3-4 and 4-3 schemes helps predict which positions will have more fantasy upside. For example, outside linebackers in a 3-4 often have more sack potential, while 4-3 defensive ends might be more consistent pass rushers. Defensive backs can also see shifts in value depending on coverage schemes and blitz frequency. In the end, scheme changes can significantly impact IDP fantasy football production by shifting player roles and opportunities. Paying close attention to these changes helps managers identify which players might benefit and make smarter draft or waiver wire decisions.